we will be starting with the facilities available to the importers and exporters. So whatsoever facilities are available to the importers and exporters, that we are going to discuss. Okay. So it is related to, first of all, it is related with the exchange and trade control guidelines. It is related to the exchange and trade control guidelines. And first of all, it is the IEC number. What is IEC number? It is importer exporter code number. It is importer exporter code number. So every firm, every company, every individual who is engaged into the import export, who is engaged into import export is to apply for the IEC number, that is the importer exporter code number, and this is a unique number which is issued by the DGFT, that is Director General of Foreign Trade. So DGFT issues a unique number to each and every one trader who is basically indulged, who is engaged in export and import trade. Okay, so first of all we need to obtain that particular number. This is a registration number of the firm or the company for international trade, and further importer and exporter has to invariably quote this IEC number each and everywhere. So on all the declaration forms or each and every other form where it is to be given, this number is to be written on those particular documents. Okay, and few documents are mentioned over there. Let us have a discussion related to the EDFs, which is basically export declaration form. Okay, so the procedure says that the importer, whether the importer or whether the exporter, they are to obtain the IEC number from the DGFT, and further this number is to be mentioned on each and every export declaration form, So as per the FEMA, as per the Foreign Exchange Management Act, all the exports of goods from India, whether it is in the physical form or in any other form, it is required to be declared in the prescribed form. So there are different forms related to that, and you need to submit those forms, and you need to declare those forms, and these have been prescribed as per the FEMA, as per the Foreign Exchange Management Act. Okay, so the prescribed forms are GR, PP, Softex, SDF forms, which are used for the purpose, which are used for different purposes. So let us have a look at where the forms are used, where the GR is used, where the PP is used. Okay, so now let us have a look at it. So GR forms is basically used for the exports made otherwise than the post. So when you have made the export but you have not transported it through the post, but you have transported it by some other means, in that case you need to declare it on the GR form. If you have made the export, you buy the post parcel, then you need to declare it on the PP form, that is a post parcel form. And further, if you have export the non-physical form, or you have exported the software in non-physical form, in that case you need to declare it on the Softex form. And the fourth one, it is the SDF. Now with the introduction of the EDI, that is the electronic data interchange. Now there is a introduction of EDI, that is the electronic data interchange. So system at some certain custom offices, where shipping bills are now processed electronically. Now there are some custom centers where the shipping bills are processed electronically. In that particular cases, the GR form is now replaced by the SDF. Now it is replaced by the SDF, that is a statutory declaration form. Okay, now with the introduction of the EDI, that is electronic data interchange system at the custom center, is now the shipping bills are processed electronically. That is why the GR forms are now replaced with the SDF, that is the statutory declaration form. Is that clear? After it is related with the exemptions. Now there are some exemptions related to it. Now there are some exemptions related to the EDFs. Okay, so there are EDF that you need to declare the declaration forms. You need to declare the forms over there which are prescribed, like the GR form is there, PP form is there. So if there is export by any means, then that of the other than the post parcel, then the GR form is to be declared. And other than if the export is made by the post parcel, in that case PP form will be declared. And the third one, it was related to the Softex, that is, if the software is exported in the non-physical form, then the softtext form is to be declared. And in some custom centers where EDI is followed, where electronically data interchange is there due to the innovations, and further the shipping bills are now processed electronically, in those cases now this GR form is replaced by the SDF, that is a statutory declaration form. Okay, but there are some exemptions to them where you need not to declare the forms. Let us have a look at it because it is quite important. First of all, it is related to if you are sending the trade samples. So you have not made the export as such, but you have sent the samples. Or you must have exported the publicity material. It may be the case that you have, for the publicity purposes, for the marketing purposes, you have exported a sample to the purchaser. Okay, in that case the form is not to be declared. And further, if it is supplied free of cost, only in that case. Further, if it is supplied free of cost only, if it is an FOC, that is free of cost, you are supplying the material for the publicity purposes or for the trade sample purposes. And also, if it is personal effect of the traveler, that while you were traveling to the USA, you basically carried a new laptop over there, so that would be a personal effect. In that case also, you need not to declare the form over there. And further, ships store or transshipment cargo. What do you mean by transshipment? Where at the different cargoes, one ship is to transfer the goods to another one. In that particular case, if the goods are being transferred from one ship to another, the the declaration of the forms will not be there. And also, if the goods are supplied under the orders of central government, if central government has placed the order and further the goods are supplied for those purposes, in that case also the declaration forms are not to be followed. And further, if the goods or software are to be exported, and further it is a declaration given, related to that the value of the goods or the software so exported is not more than that of the USD 2500. Okay, so if the value of the goods so transported is not more than 25,000, not 2500, it is not more than 25,000 USD in values, in that case also you need to declare the forms specifically, but you have to submit an undertaking. You have to declare that the price of that the value of the goods is only and only up to 25,000 USD. And also, if it is in the form of goods and the value of the goods is not more than rupees 5 lakh, at that case also the forms are not to be followed. And other than that, you must have heard of that if any of the electronic material of any of the aircraft parts are being basically exported to some other country, let us suppose the engine or the spare parts are being exported to some other country, but subject to some conditions for repair purposes. It may be the case that those have been exported for the repair purposes, and there will be re-import of those spares, in that case also the declaration is not required. And further, goods imported free of cost on re-export basis. So if you have imported the goods and you are to re-export it, it may be the case now that an exporter is there and he needs input material over here, he needs the raw material, so he has imported the goods, okay, and further, and he is to export it now. But if and only if the material so imported is imported free of cost, and it is imported on re-export basis, only in that case the declaration forms are not required. And also, if you are going to export the goods to the Myanmar, so under the bilateral trade agreement in the case of the Myanmar, if the goods are not exceeding USD 1000 per transactions, in that case also the declaration forms are not to be filled. Further, if the goods are sent out of India for the testing purposes subject to the re-import, in that case also the declaration forms are not to be followed. So the important limits were related to what? The important limits were, first of all, it was related to the, if it is trade sample, that is you are sending some sample or publicity material, and further if it is your personal effect, that is you are carrying for your personal use, and further it may be the case that the central government has placed the order, it may be the case that you are transporting the goods or software, and particularly you have given the undertaking that the value of the goods is not beyond beyond 25,000 USD, and also it may be the case that you have gifted something and the total value of the goods is not more than rupees 5 lakh. In that case also the EDF is not required. And further it may be the case that the aircraft parts in the spares have been sent for the repair purposes. In that case also the forms are not to be followed. If the goods are imported free of cost on a re-export basis, in that case also the forms are not required. If in the under the you have exported the goods to the Myanmar, so under the bilateral trade agreement, if the value of the goods is per transaction is up to USD 1000, the EDF is not required. Further, if the goods are sent out of India for the testing purposes also, in that case also you do not require to fill in any of the forms. And further, if the defective goods sent for repairs subject to re-import also, that is if anything is sent free of cost, if anything is exported free of cost, if you are importing anything free of cost, if you are exporting anything for the repair purposes, if you are exporting anything for the repair purposes for a re-import basis, in all these cases the export documents are not required to be declared. Okay, that is the case related to it. And further after that, it is related to the prescribed time limit. Now related to the declaration forms, there is some prescribed limit. What it is, let us have a look at it. For submission of the export documents, along with the duplicate or exchange control copy, that is a GRPP or SDF forms, these are to be submitted within a period of 21 days from the date of shipment. So within a period of 21 days from the date of shipment, these are to be submitted to the authorized dealers. So if you have negotiated the bill, if you have purchased, if the bank has purchased the bill, if the bank has discounted the bill, in that case the goods are, the declaration forms are to be obtained within a period of 21 days from the date of shipment. And even in case there is direct shipment of goods, what do you mean? It means that there is an exporter and there are no bills involved. That the exporter has not visited the bank so as to negotiate the bill, so as to basically discounting the bill. In that case also, if he has made the export in his own basis also, in that case also he needs to submit these declaration forms with the authorized dealer. Even though there is no connection between the exporter and the authorized dealer, but the person has made the export or has imported, in that case also the declaration forms are to be submitted. The relative documents are to be submitted to the banker within the time limit prescribed, that is 21 days from the date of the shipment. Okay.